Hello, I am Bijan Fayez, and I will be talking a little bit about FEMA's Public Assistance Grant Program. Basically, what is FEMA? FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, started by President Carter in 1978 and is now under the jurisdiction of the Department of Homeland Security. FEMA is accountable for the nation's emergency response systems and support. What are grants? Grants are a payment by the federal government to cover the cost of things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to pay for. It's assistance money, but it's money that you have to qualify for and apply for correctly. FEMA allocates many grants to states, countries, cities, businesses, and even individuals in times of disaster to help assist in the recovery process. And what are disasters? Disasters are emergency events that cause significant and human and financial loss and danger far too great to be handled by the local jurisdictions or agencies available. Timeline here, it kind of gives you an idea of the long process of the event to the governor's declaration of emergency. Then FEMA becomes initiated and goes through its entire process until people apply for grants and eventually are approved to grants, and the disaster is finally considered what FEMA calls closed out. Well, who is eligible? Eligible applicants, besides individuals, are groups largely in the following: educational institutions such as colleges and universities and private schools, utility services that a community relies on, like their energy, their communications, their water supply, their sewage, and other similar public services. FEMA needs to keep those going in order to make sure everyone is safe. Different emergency response services, FEMA will keep those going as well to make sure fire protection, ambulances, rescue, and all emergency activity is still taken care of, as well as medical care. Hospitals and outpatient facilities will be sort of supplemented by FEMA, and they'll be eligible for grants for all the costs incurred because of the disaster. Custodial care is also eligible, and other essential governmental functions. Applying for a grant is a long process, but basically you need to look into the specific grant you want to apply to. All that information is available on the FEMA website. Each grant has different needs. Most of them will including all relevant documents, receipts, photographs, anything that may be needed for verification. And there is a process from the sub-applicant to the applicant to FEMA. Don't let this be you. Too many times people stray away from public assistance grants because there is a lot of paperwork. It is a long process. However, if you don't address the issues, you'll end up paying the price out of pocket, which really isn't fair. So be prepared, and how to do so is realizing there's no such thing as free money. All payments you need to apply for need to be accounted for. They need to be things you actually needed. FEMA will do a preliminary damage assessment. Then the applicant's briefing where applicants receive and complete a request for public assistance form. In the event of a successful request, the applicant is assigned a public assistance coordinator. Following that, there is a meeting between the coordinator and the applicant. Then the applicant needs to identify the cost estimates through the project formulation process. Cost estimates for small projects that have been previously prepared are confirmed through a standardized validation process. And finally, if eligible, FEMA approves and processes funding for the disaster recovery project. FEMA has a lot of acronyms. Some of them are useful, some aren't, but it's good to know them, especially in times of disasters, especially things like EOC, which is Emergency Operations Center. An EO is an executive order. Public assistance is PA. Preliminary damage assessment, a PDA. That's something you need to be ready to do for applying for a FEMA public assistance grant. And knowing the ICS is the Incident Command System, the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program. All these things are useful to know and should be considered by the applicant. Benefits to the average individual aren't going to be crazy unless you did suffer severe losses, in which case FEMA will cover 75% of them. Otherwise, FEMA has programs where you can get grants to refund for preparedness mitigation processes, like buying shingles, special shingles, or hurricane glass, or even generators. You might be able to get a reimbursement check after you buy that.